Great. Today, I have a very interesting guest from the Captura Group, and you have to make sure to roll the audio because it's a very interesting digital agency that basically comes with, full service bilingual capabilities. And what they do is, and I think is very, very unique, and they combine digital expertise with Hispanic in language and in culture sort of roots and communications to maximize their clients' growth potential. And I have a very interesting guest here today, who's Molly Voska, who is, heading up the marketing team and working with the marketing folks in Captura Group. And she's going to be, telling us a little bit more about how that actually works, what it means, the typical clients, and and how they grow online, so that you guys can also learn a little bit from Molly as well. So Molly, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Very good. So maybe, tell us a little bit about, in your own words, what is Captura Group all about?
Of course. So we are a incredibly diverse and 100% bilingual company with people coming from all of Latin America, as well as born and raised in the States with Latin roots, or even myself, who just was immersed in the culture from a young age. And we understand at a very data and familial level what it means to be Hispanic and Latina, and how we can bring brands into those cultural conversations.
Super interesting. What would characterize, obviously there's this huge characterization element of, the cultural background that you were describing. What else would be describing Captura Group? Maybe, what's, I don't know, what's the size? How old are you guys? I don't know, how many website visitors? Maybe something that characterizes a little bit Captura.
I think what's really interesting about us is we were founded in 2001. So that was like the .com boom. And at that point, our founder said, I want to make a Hispanic and digital first agency, which was not a thing back then. One, having an only digital agency was crazy at the time. And then a focus on the Hispanic market, wasn't as lucrative as it is now. Right now, everyone's looking for it. And back then it was new. So having that at our foundation has really helped us to develop and stay on top of new trends and make sure that our growth and our clients' growth is long-term.
Very good. And I'm curious then, obviously, who would be the types of clients that you would be typically working with?
We have some major CPG brands, Kellogg's, maybe some people know. And then we also have some smaller regional brands that, focus on heavily Latino markets and are looking to grow into new areas, new cities as well.
And obviously for you as a marketeer and like having those like diverse groups, like major brands and also regional companies, what would you say is, a typical journey that somebody goes through in order to learn about Captura and getting started, such as, what would be the typical, client acquisition channel?
Yeah, so we are partners or members of the Association of National Advertisers Alliance for Inclusive and Multicultural Marketing, so ANA AIM, as well as the Culture Marketing Council. So those are some channels that people find us. We are a minority and woman-owned company, so people are also often looking for those types of companies and find us through our associations. Besides that, a lot of customers and past clients and people we've worked with in the past refer us when they go to a new company, or when they're talking to, peers about, how do you do Hispanic marketing? I have no clue how to do it. They bring them to the experts. As well, our leadership team is super involved in the multicultural marketing space, speaking at conferences, serving on the board of the Culture Marketing Council. We're involved with Support Latino Business, which is a nonprofit helping promote and support Latino business owners, as well as we publish a lot of articles on the benefits of connecting with diverse audiences.
Super interesting. Okay. And what role would you say, do the digital channels play? For example, what role does the website take?
Yes. So we are in the process of a website revamp right now, which is one of my main tasks. But on there, you can see some of our case studies, the type of work we do. You can meet our team, as well as you can contact me.
Very good. Okay, super interesting. So, and what role would you see the website playing going forward? You mentioned you're, working on a revamp. Like, what's your vision for the page?
Yes. So, understanding customer behavior and how people interact digitally, we found that there's some optimizations we can do on that path to conversion. So, what's the natural flow of people on our site? We looked at the data and we said, people are either getting distracted and not contacting us, or they're not finding the right information to convince them to contact us always. So that's part of my task, is to work on a new design with our creative team, our developer team, to make sure that path to conversion and path to contact me again is super simple, and the information is given to you in a natural way, the natural flow of information.
Gotcha. You talked a little bit about, the improvement potential there already. Like, where do you see the strengths currently on the website? Like, what's something that you definitely want to keep in a way?
Yes. So we have a blog that we've been running since at least 2008, as far as I went back. And, we post frequent articles about, lately, most of the traffic has been coming to a coronavirus research page, and we're compiling articles that are about multicultural impact, the impact on multicultural people in the US from coronavirus. And that's been one of our top performing pages, since last April, sadly. But it's been a good way for people to find more information. And then as well, we do updates on, new data that comes out. We were at the Association of National Advertisers conference, multicultural conference, back in November. And we posted an article about that with, recap and what were some key points of information that people should take away that they can bring into their 2021 planning.
Cool. You mentioned that you were looking sort of into the, the conversion flow on the website. In the Path Home Presents podcast, we obviously, love to talk quite a bit about conversions. Like, what's something that you're trying for the new website, or what's something that you maybe learned or you could share with people, what you find is to be very important for that conversions?
I think always having that access to know, okay, what's my next step? The funneling the user to a certain point. I feel like the website now is a bit distracting. We have a couple different places you can look, and it's all good content, but it doesn't direct people to where, their final destination always.
Very interesting. I think that's, what a lot of folks who are listening in actually are working on quite actively. Like, how do you do that in a way that it still feels natural, right?
Yes.
Very interesting. Okay, so coming back to the Captura Group, like, for everybody who's listening in, what would you say is sort of, one of the main competitive advantages that you have maybe over, a typical agency?
I would say our team. We have a truly incredible team. I actually just found out that our creative director has 25 lions, which is a lot of lions, and a Grand Prix as well. So that's huge as well. We are a small agency, so we have that, very close feel. Our president is involved in, a lot of the conversations with the brands we work with. At the same time, everyone at our company has come from either a large agency or a multinational corporation. So they have that big corporate background to know how to navigate, the rounds of approval and the back and forth with leadership, as well as bringing in the strategy and the numbers and the data to really prove it to upper leadership, while at the same time having that super close connection. Like, your team is dedicated to you, and they're going to work directly with you, and they know you. And we've been working with brands like Kellogg since 2013.
Very cool. Super interesting. I would love to switch gears a little bit, right? We've learned a lot about Captura. Would love to learn about you, right? In your role in marketing, and also, how you have gone through your journey. Maybe you could tell me at the beginning, what's the type of content that you consume? Like, how do you, keep on educating yourself further?
Yeah. So, thankfully, my company does prioritize, attending conferences and learning new information. So I attend a lot of the industry, weekly webinars about, new types of media, new channels, new ways to connect with audiences. So I learn a lot from that. But I also think of myself as a little bit of a sociologist. Just I love studying, and that's how I kind of got here was I love studying people and culture and the reasons people do things. So that's what got me into this position, and I love just listening to people and learning about how they process information.
And what would be a topic, maybe something that you recently would have said, okay, I'm going to really deep dive on that particular topic. Does something come to mind?
Yes, actually, one of my recent articles I posted on our blog is about Hispanics in higher education. So I'm only 4 years out of college now, and I'm still involved with a couple nonprofits that work with university students. So I'm still pretty close to the university age groups and have some friends who are still in school. And we were studying the trends on enrollment and how schools are going to recover from the coronavirus changes and shifts that they've had to make. And one of the things we noticed was enrollment was already dropping before COVID. They were already struggling to keep students in their systems. Even my brother, he's an entrepreneur, and he left school after 2 years. He said, "This is too expensive. I'm out." He's like, "It's not worth it. I can make more money without getting a college degree." So what we've noticed is that Hispanics are some of the largest growth segments in education, higher education, and one of the largest potential opportunities for schools in recruitment and catering students' needs is in Latino students.
Super interesting. One can really tell that you're very deep in the topic and really understand the dynamics really well. Super interesting.
Hold a lot of data.
Yeah, I can see that. Since we're slowly coming to an end, right, of the interview, I would love to jump into our rapid fire questions. It's just a couple of, short and crisp question and answers. Are you ready for those?
Okay. Yes.
Very cool. So what's the last book that you read?
Oh, crap. I forget all the names because I read them on my Kindle. It was about a Turkish poet.
Okay. Very good. Maybe it comes to mind throughout the other questions. What's the one single thing that you're focused on the most at the moment for Captura?
The website.
If there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be the one thing that you would wanted to have fixed for Captura?
Oh, I think I'd also say the website. It was just snap, done.
Okay.
Boom.
Very good. What's the last thing that kept you awake at night about the company?
Coffee.
This is such a different take than everybody else is taking for the answer. I really like it. It's just the most practical one. Really good. The very last question would be, what's one advice that you would give yourself, right, if you would just be joining Captura today as your first day in the role?
Okay, I only started 6 months ago, so I am still pretty new, but I think I would take more time to sit with the team members. Being remote, it's pretty hard to get to know them and their process. But in a marketing position, I really need to know how they address the business. And I think I still want to do that more.
Very good. Well, I really appreciate that you took the time and were sharing with us some insights about Captura Group and also about your role and your journey, your work on the website, and also how you're educating yourself. So I really appreciate it. You've been part of us in Pathmonk Presents today. I want to give you the very last word, right? If somebody would be forgetting everything we discussed today about Captura Group, what's the one thing that they should, remember?
They should remember that it's so important to connect with your audiences in context and in culture.
Very good. Thanks for being part of the show with us today.
Thanks for having me.